What is up, everybody? We're rolling audio here today on episode 83 of The Harder Show. What's going on? I hope you're doing fantastic. Thank you so much for tuning in and clicking that play button on today's episode of the podcast. Talking WWE's TLC pay-per-view today that happened this past Sunday. It was a great pay-per-view. I actually really did enjoy it. The first time in a while that I really just enjoyed it, you know. Usually with wrestling pay-per-views, there's at least one match or two I'll be like, that could have been a little better, but this entire pay-per-view I enjoyed. I think SmackDown is the superior show. I think they are kicking the crap out of Raw, but that is my opinion, and that is going to be for a whole other time, because today we're talking TLC and results and all that kind of thing. Usually I like to do these podcasts with some members of my esteemed panel of experts, but unfortunately, due to scheduling conflictions and that kind of thing, I'm going to be playing this one solo today, so hopefully you still enjoy it. Like I said, I did really enjoy the pay-per-view, so I do have some mostly overly positive things to say about everything, so if you're looking for complaining and kind of the usual suspects, the kind of thing that happened on the internet when it comes to wrestling reviews and that kind of thing, this is not the place to come. I just generally love wrestling too much to quote unquote crap all over it. But before I dive into the TLC discussions and that kind of thing, I want to thank everybody for, of course, the continued support with the podcast. Last week had two very cool, good episodes. Having Adam on talking about feeling old, and then of course my man Mr. Matthew Cannons and I doing a list of the top 10 Xbox 360 games. Had a couple people hit me up and say that they were surprised that Matthew was not a fan of Master Chief, which is definitely funny in the fact that I agree with him. That we just think he's kind of a boring character. Some people were defending him, but that's okay. Either way, I think it was definitely a interesting week for the Harder Show there. I want to thank everyone who bought a t-shirt and who put a pre-order in for the t-shirts. They have been ordered. They are on their way. So hopefully I'll be able to get those off to you guys in the next couple of weeks. Definitely before Christmas. I actually have a week off. My vacation starting the last week of December or somewhere in that ballpark. So if by we'll say the 23rd, if you guys do not have them for some reason, I might make that day for just randomly for some reason my delivery day if I don't have them off to you by then. So definitely keep your ear to the ground, so to speak, for that kind of thing. Keep it locked to the Harder Show Facebook and all my social medias, and you will see the second that I have the t-shirts in. Very excited about that. I did order a couple extra ones, so if there's anybody who's listening who missed out on the pre-order and you want a Harder Show t-shirt, hit me up, and if I have the size you need, I will definitely get that off to you. Very excited to have some more Harder Show t-shirts going in the world. And I also want to take a quick second here to give a little shout out to a podcast that I've been enjoying. Now, you guys know, whenever I talk about different podcasts here on the show, I don't do it lightly. I'm not one to just kind of for lack of a better term, prostitute myself out for if someone hits me up and they're like, oh, let's do a cross promotion thing. If I don't enjoy the other podcast, I'm not going to do it. And I have said no to people before, respectfully, to saying, hey, look, your podcast is about whatever, I know that it's going to sound fake coming from me, if you do a podcast on, vaping, hey man, right on, good for you. I'm not talking crap about that or anything, but just if I'm like, yeah, guys, I really enjoy this vaping podcast, and y'all know I'm going to be lying. So I don't think it makes any sense for me to shout out podcasts that I don't actually listen to and enjoy. But this particular podcast, I very much enjoy. They're actually three dudes who do kind of obscure movie reviews. I kind of got in touch with them through Twitter, and they did kind of like a horror movie one. It was just before Halloween, I think it was, and they were really entertaining, really making me laugh, talking about horror movies and that kind of thing. And this podcast I'm talking about, it's called Fork Found! Reviews. I'll spell it out for you. It's FORK as in fork, like a fork. Found, Found, exclamation point, reviews. You can find them on Twitter. I'm just going to make sure I have their handle correct here. I think it's just at Fork Found Reviews. Let me just make sure real quick that I have the right one here. Yep, at Fork Found Review, all one word, with two capital F's and then a capital R. There's no exclamation point or anything in that, but you can definitely check them out on the Twitter. Fork Found Reviews, good dudes, really funny. They just put up one this week, I believe it was, where they talk about Camp Nowhere and Heavyweights for kind of like a summer camp theme. I haven't even heard of those two movies. I mean, I'm not a movie buff, so I think I even said to the guys when I kind of hit them up, I'm like, I'm not a movie guy, but I really enjoy your podcast. Makes me laugh. So if I'm enjoying it and I don't even know what the movies they're talking about, if you guys know the movies, you're probably gonna love it. So definitely check them out. Again, that's Fork Found Reviews. You can check them out on the Twitter. Go ahead and give them a search. I will be tagging them in this, so definitely be sure to check them out. You can also find them on SoundCloud if you search Fork Found Reviews. You can actually check in my liked on the SoundCloud and my liked playlist. I think I have a couple of theirs liked, at least I should. So definitely check them out, guys. Like I said, really, really good podcast. Three really fun dudes. Definitely highly recommend you check them out. While you're at it, you can also check out my boys over at the Thing About podcast, because I've talked with them watching the show and they always give me shout outs, and very much looking forward to the next podcast they put out. Actually, the next couple, I've gotten some sneak peeks kind of in what they're going to be talking about, and it's going to be really good. So be sure to keep it locked there. They're kind of getting back into their social media as well, so be sure to check them out on social media. But all that fun stuff out of the way, I want to get right into this TLC review. Let's get into it. Alright, wrestling lovers, so TLC is in the bag. Like I said in my intro, it was a really great pay-per-view. I really, really enjoyed it. It was a phenomenal main event, pun intended, and there was a few other really great matches of the night. So what we like to do here on the Honor Show, whenever I do my pay-per-view kind of reviews, I'll talk about a match, kind of give my quick 2 cents or what have you, and then we give it a rating out of 10. Now, of course, everything that we say is subject to opinion, so if there's anything we say that you agree with or disagree with, always hit me up, even if it's something that's, you're like, hey, if I say I think that Chad Gable is one of the greatest guys on the roster right now, and that he's an amazing hand, and you disagree with me and think that he's worthless, then hey, hit me up and say, yo, I think Chad Gable sucks. I don't think there's anyone who's going to think that. But if that's the case and you do, then, hit me up. It doesn't always have to be positive stuff. I know that the wrestling internet community is full of people who like to have their opinions heard and their voices heard, as I am one of them in a sense, and for the most part, they tend to be very negative. So if you're one of those people and you have some stuff to say, by all means, come at me, like I said too, I always usually like to do this with a couple of my buddies, just to kind of get some varying opinions happening and that kind of thing. But because I'm flying solo, it's a singular opinion. So, hopefully I try to see things from all sides. I'll try to maybe talk about all aspects of the match. If there is something that I think one of the other guys would bring up, I will do my best. But because we're flying it solo here, it's mainly my opinion. I mean, the title of this show is The Hotter Show, so I guess my opinion is the only one that matters. So what the hell? In all, though, I don't really have anything negative to say, but even about the kickoff match, guys. I even enjoyed the kickoff match, so that's when it's a good pay-per-view. But a lot of people ask me what show I prefer, and usually I say SmackDown 9.9 times out of 10. And the only reason I would say Raw that 0.1 of the time is because Jericho's on Raw and Kevin Owens, because I love both of them. If they want SmackDown, I probably wouldn't even have any interest in Raw at all, to be brutally honest with you guys. The Raw pay-per-views definitely, I feel, have been not lackluster, but I definitely feel like SmackDown's kind of been kicking Raw's butt a little bit with the pay-per-views, and this pay-per-view was absolutely no exception. So there's definitely some cool stuff. I might do a little fantasy booking, because what the hell, why not? And yeah, I'm just going to kind of jump right into it here. So the first match we have to talk about was on the kickoff show, and real quick before that, the kickoff panel, they have changed it to now where they kind of have like a rotating fourth, I guess, because it was originally always, the last few at least, have been Lita, Jerry Lawler, Booker T, and Renee Young. I really liked that. Apparently they're doing the pre-show now, and it's just Renee Young and Booker T who are going to be doing the kickoffs with rotating people. Pete Rosenberg was on, which was interesting. Never thought I'd see Pete Rosenberg on WWE programming. That really did surprise me. I know my buddy, Mr. Brandon Bowden, the producer of The Harder Show, the Kevin Dunn of The Harder Show, ladies and gentlemen, was, I know that'll pop him, was, pretty psyched to see him as well. So it's very cool, the fact that they're doing this. I wasn't a fan of it at first, but then when I kind of understood why they're doing it, I was like, okay, I'm just a big Jerry Lawler mark. So either way, you take Jerry Lawler out of the equation of anything, I'm going to be a little upset. Just like I was upset when they took him off commentary, but then, having him kind of be replaced with Corey Graves, I think it works. But anyway, the kickoff show, the match that was on it, it was definitely kind of a weird match. A lot of people have been saying it's hard to get into a match when there's nothing at stake, and it's just a match that's kind of thrown together like this one was. Agree and disagree. This is one of those matches that, yeah, because there was nothing at stake, it kind of was boring, I guess, in a way. But the guys in the ring definitely made it more exciting. And that was, of course, the 6-man tag match. Now, of course, the people that were in the match, you had on the kind of on the face team, I guess, if you will, the Hype Bros, Zack Ryder, Mojo Rawley. You had American Alpha, my boys, Mr. Chad Gable and Jason Jordan, and you had Apollo Crews going up against The Ascension, who I think looked great in this match. I think they I hadn't seen their face paint. I think that Connor looked freaking like a monster. He's gained some weight. He got a little chunkier, which I think is going to do him good. And then, of course, the Vaudevillains and Mr. Kurt Hawkins, who, since he's been back, I think has been doing... he's done an interesting gimmick, but it kind of sucks to already see him on a pre-show. It seems like they were going to give him a pretty big push. But either way, I think it's interesting. I'm happy that he's back, because he was always a great, great talent. But the match itself... not really a whole lot to say. There was no feuds kind of coming into it. It was interesting how they kind of had Zack Ryder and Kurt Hawkins square off. I think the people who stole the entire night was American Alpha and the Hype Bros, just strictly because of how they performed. Mojo Rawley doing the little hammer dance thing, that was weird. But I said it while we're watching. I've watched the pay-per-view with the heel Ryan Wood, the producer Brandon Bowden, of course, the Kevin Dunn of The Harder Show, and my boy Mr. Matthew Cannon's The Mark. We're sitting there watching the pay-per-view, and Mojo Rawley comes in the ring. And this is the only negative thing I'm going to say probably on the podcast today. But it's the big joke with me that, Mojo Rawley can't wrestle. Because, obviously he can wrestle. It's a kind of a joke, but because so many guys who were in NXT who are now on the indies and stuff just talk so much crap about Mojo Rawley that I do too. I do it kind of sarcastically as a joke. I think he picked the dude up for a scoop slam, and he was dancing, and I think it was Ryan. He's like, "Why is he doing that?" I'm like, "It's because he can't wrestle." I think it's funny. But I actually am a Mojo Rawley fan. He won me over. The excitement and stuff that he brings to the ring, I think, is really, really cool. I like him and Zack Ryder as the Hype Bros. I think they need to kind of push them a little bit more as a tag team, because the tag team scene on SmackDown has the potential to be great. American Alpha are American Alpha. I think they're probably the best tag team on SmackDown. but I'm a massive Chad Gable mark, because Chad Gable is the only man who can walk into a McDonald's, order a Whopper, and get it. So either way, I did like the match. There was a couple weird spots, the clearing of the ring, when everyone came in and kept throwing each other out. I was like, really, this is a spot? But like, it was different, definitely was nothing absolutely spectacular, but it's the kickoff show. It's just meant to kind of get things going, get people hyped in a way. And I think it did. It definitely was an exciting thing. I was glad to see American Alpha pick up the win with grand amplitude. I do not like the name of that finish for them, but that's just me. I do like their finish. I popped hard when I saw Jason Jordan do the Olympic Slam or the Alpha Slam. And I mean, it was great. The two of them, I think they're two of the best guys on the roster right now, in my opinion. So, but I'm also a mark for just wrestling. But either way, good match. Apollo Crews is kind of in a situation right now where I don't think they really know what to do with him. He's so good in the ring. He has the personality where he just smiles and he's just happy to be here. I think that, one day they're going to turn him heel and he's just going to be like an ass-kicking machine, and be like an absolute jerk. And I think it's going to work out, but I'm hoping maybe he finds his way a little bit because he's such an amazing, amazing talent. I would personally like to see, American Alpha maybe go for the titles at this point. But that's just me personally, because I think they deserve to be champions at this point already, even though they haven't been around that long. I just love American Alpha. I'll just sit here, you want to pop TJ in a tag match in American Alpha, just let them do a drop kick and a suplex, and I'm good. I'm happy with the match. It gets at least a 5 out of 10 for me. But this match in particular, I give it a 7.5 out of 10. Could have scored a little better, I guess, if maybe it was just the story was a little bit better put together, but I digress. Either way, still a good match. Now, the next match I'm going to talk about, getting into the actual show now of TLC, was, of course, the Tag Team Championship match with the defending champions, Rhino and Heath Slater, the one-man bam, baby, going up against, of course, the new Wyatt family, as I've come to call them, Bray Wyatt, Mr. Randy Orton, and Luke Harper. I mean, it was Bray Wyatt and Randy Orton who were doing the match, but Harper was there. It's funny with this match. I mean, I knew that the Wyatts were going to win. I would have been absolutely shocked if Rhino and Heath Slater went over in this. It would have just absolutely just blown my friggin' mind. I mean, I like them as a tag team, but because they were kind of just thrown together, I'm hoping this means that Heath Slater's going to go on to better things. Maybe we see him in a little bit of an Intercontinental Championship match at some point leading up to that. Maybe, who knows? Rhino, I don't know what Rhino's going to do now. I know he's getting into politics and so forth, so maybe this is Rhino's kind of final run. I don't know. We'll see what happens, but either way, it was a good match. I really liked the spot where Luke Harper took the gore. And it was a good looking gore too, obviously all of them showed aggression. Heath Slater still had some fight in him, even though he was attacked a bunch by Randy Orton and Bray Wyatt. I guess the only thing I would have liked to have maybe seen the match go on a little bit longer. When it's a match like that, when the odds seem so stacked against Rhino and Heath Slater, you're not surprised at the Wyatts won, but it's kind of like, they have to do it in a way that, it doesn't completely destroy the other team unless they're looking to do that. I think that winning the way they did was perfect. Even if it was kind of a little, Rhino slides in the ring and Bray Wyatt's doing the crab, and then that distracts him into a kind of a, not a lackluster RKO, but kind of by Randy Orton standards, it was kind of like, it was still from out of nowhere, but it was kind of like, I guess it could have looked a little cooler. But that's just me complaining, even though I said I wasn't going to do that. either way, I did enjoy the match. I love the way those tag belts look with the Wyatt family. I personally love the way those tag belts look. I know that a lot of people were complaining about them, but personally, I think they look absolutely sick. Now, of course, at the end of the match, there was a little moment there where Randy Orton and Luke Harper kind of had a bit of a square off, and you thought maybe Randy Orton was going to turn, and then thus would signify the end of that joining of Randy Orton into the Wyatt family, but it didn't appear that happened. Kind of Randy finally reluctantly handed Luke Harper the title. Luke Harper put them over his shoulder, and they had that awesome victory pose. Randy Orton and Bray Wyatt together are a formidable tag team. I know that on commentary they were comparing them to Kane and who were they comparing them to? Not Kane and the Undertaker. Was it Kane and the Undertaker? I can't recall who it was, but it was like a very formidable tag team. Just because they just were. I mean, it was dominance. It was a dominant showing, really. Obviously, maybe like it could have been a little more 50-50, but at the same time, no one likes 50-50 booking all the time. So glad to see that Bray Wyatt finally got a friggin' title in his kind of in his career. He definitely deserves it. I'm very excited to see where they go from this. Personally, I see eventually Randy Orton turning on them or them kicking him out or something. It's pretty common knowledge. We know that Randy Orton is going to be taking some time off when his new child's born. So maybe they can make that into something. I want to see the Wyatts hold these titles for a long time. I want to see them hold them at least for a couple of months and just be dominant, I think that a team like American Alpha needs to dethrone them. That would, I guess, be my fantasy booking in a way. I think Heath Slater and Rhino should go once for them. Just kind of invoke their rematch clause, like even like this upcoming SmackDown, and just go for them and see what happens. I should break kayfabe for a second here and say that as I record this, SmackDown this week has not happened yet. So break kayfabe a little bit there. But either way, I think the end game basically of my fantasy booking being that American Alpha dethrones the Wyatt family in a big way. And I see, Randy Orton then turning on the Wyatts, or the Wyatts turning on Randy Orton. And then Randy takes some time off or something along those lines. But either way, the match in all, it was definitely still a solid match. I give it a 7.5 out of 10. Now, the next match was definitely a match that I wasn't sure how I was going to feel about this match. It's hard for me. It really is. I love women's wrestling. Okay. I love women's wrestling. I love what they've been doing lately with the women's division, especially on SmackDown. But I'm not going to lie to you guys. When Nikki Bella came back, I was very worried. Because I was like, all this good that's been done is going to be undone because Nikki Bella, to me, is a diva. And she's always going to be a diva. And it's going to be very hard for me to not see her in that regards. But the match that her and Carmella had at TLC was actually a decent little kind of no disqualification match. It was a little slow paced, maybe, sure, but it was more of a kind of a fight, I guess. When they got the cane and they started hitting each other with it, they only, maybe a chair would have been nice to see too, maybe some more foreign objects, but either way, it was just a good little fight. Carmella looked great in it. I think that she definitely showed that she has improved a lot. It was a kind of an interesting way they built it up. The finish was definitely unique, with Nikki Bella spraying Carmella with a friggin' fire extinguisher. She extinguished Carmella. Definitely interesting, the fact that commentary sold it like, oh, not only is she blind, but she can't breathe, oh, blah, 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 blah. I like that Carmella sold it at the end too when she was doing a little talk with Nikki. She was coughing and that kind of thing. I think that was good. Nikki hit the Rack Attack 2.0, which I am pissed about because that's my finish and she stole it. Not really much else to say about the match. Obviously at the end, Carmella took to the mic to let her know that it wasn't her who attacked her at Survivor Series, but it was actually Natalya. That's interesting to see where that feud's going to go. In all, I didn't expect much from this match. It was definitely better than I thought it was going to be. I thought this was going to be like a 3 out of 10, but it was definitely at least a 6 out of 10. I think that they both looked great. Obviously, as Carmella gets more experience in the ring, she's only going to get better. She already has a great finish, with the Code of Silence. So I think she just needs to build herself up a little bit more. But either way, I am wholeheartedly in the corner of Carmella. I think she's only going to do better as a heel as well. I think kind of the cocky Princess of Staten Island type gimmick works for her, as opposed to trying to get the crowd to like react in a positive way to her. I think her kind of playing the role of a heel is going to work a lot better for her in her. All right, so the next match that we're going to talk about definitely was probably the match that stole the show, I think, for most people. Definitely me as well. I really enjoyed this match. It wasn't actually my favorite match of the night, surprisingly, but it was definitely. I think it definitely stole the show, but this wasn't my personal favorite of the night. And that was, of course, The Miz versus Dolph Ziggler in a TLC match for the Intercontinental Championship match. I'm sorry, a ladder match, not a TLC match. I apologize, that was my mistake. Right off the bat, this feud has been great. I could watch The Miz and Dolph Ziggler wrestle any night. The Miz has been amazing lately as a heel. Everyone knows how great The Miz is at being a heel. This kind of feud he's having with Daniel Bryan, the way that he's been putting down Dolph Ziggler, it was just great. Really, really, really great. It was an interesting build during the match, kind of increasingly dynamic match as it progressed. It started off as kind of a back and forth, and then one guy took over, the other guy took over. There was so many points during this match where both guys were selling so well that we legit thought they were hurt. There was one point where literally, I think the producer Brandon Bowden, the Kevin Dunn of the Hotter Show, ladies and gentlemen, literally turned to me and was like, I think Dolph's actually hurt. And it was just, he was selling so good, which is nothing new for Dolph Ziggler, but it was just, it was just the fact that it was such a brutal match. It was just like, oh my God. The skull crushing finale on the ladder that Miz hit was just, it was disgusting. It was, definitely was a great match, Given that the Miz isn't the athlete that Dolph Ziggler is, he has to keep up with Dolph in other ways, and, playing the heel definitely does that. In all, I was surprised to see that the Miz did actually win. I was very surprised. I personally thought that Dolph was going to go over only because, it would kind of shut the Miz up. But I think that's kind of the point. Is I think they're slowly building Miz to be literally just the top heel in the company. I think that's slowly. I think they're trying to get him to kind of rival Kevin Owens in that regard, which I don't think he can. And that's not taking away from the Miz. It's just the kind of character Kevin Owens is. But I like what they're doing with the Miz, As much as I love Dolph Ziggler, and I'd love to see him as the Intercontinental Champion, Miz going over the way he did, it was a hard-fought match. It was brutal. Both guys were injured. Their legs were shot. They're climbing up the ladder. They're having a fight. Dolph Ziggler is headbutting him. And then, of course, the Miz hits him with 2 legal, I might add, kicks to the groin. Solid, huge kicks to the groin. Dolph falls, and Miz wins. Of course, after the match, he takes the microphone to say that he dedicates this victory to Daniel Bryan, whose constant, basically belittling of him has inspired him to pick up this victory. That was interesting. I don't know how I feel about them kind of with this feud, because, it can't end with a match. If Daniel Bryan decides, what, I'm going to come out of retirement and beat you up, that literally discredits like his retirement. It discredits the WWE Wellness Program. Nothing good would come of it other than maybe a really great match. So I'm interested to see what happens. As the general manager, I guess guys can kind of keep coming to Daniel Bryan's defense, but eventually, I mean, Daniel Bryan's going to snap eventually. He's going to have to, because after a while, as a man, if another man's talking down to you like that, you got to do something about it after a while. So maybe that's what's going to happen. Who knows? I'm interested to see where the Intercontinental Championship goes from here. Of course, there's lots of guys I would love to pick to see them go for it. My number one pick, it doesn't actually make sense for him to go for it right now because it'd be two heels fighting for it. I just would like to see him shut The Miz up, basically. I could see like an Apollo Crews going for it. I don't see Dolph going for it again. I think Dolph needs to move on. You know, there's lots of guys who could go for it. I would love to see Corbin get a run with it, but Corbin versus The Miz, I think that'd be an interesting feud. Because it'd just be The Miz like, dude, oh my God, shut up. Like, you're so annoying on the mic. Like, just stop talking. And it'd be just Baron Corbin squashing The Miz. But either way, whoever The Miz has his next feud with, it's going to be great. I'm sure you guys can think of a lot of other ideas aside from what I can think of to who could feud with The Miz. But I definitely don't want to see Dolph Ziggler and The Miz again for a while. This was a great match. I think it stole the show. I know a lot of people do agree that it stole the show. In all, not surprising that it stole the show. I do give it a 8.5 out of 10. Alright guys, just want to take a quick second here to give a big shout out to the first ever sponsor and big time supporter of the Harder Show, my man, Mr. Jason Reese over at Jaybird Digital Arts. Now what exactly does Jason do? Well, if you guys need any kind of logos, t-shirts, posters, album design, tickets, photo manipulation, you guys still with me? Advertising, business stationery, mailers, brochures, fine art, and literally anything else you can think of, Jaybird Digital Arts can create it. No project is just a generic template, and every single job is a new opportunity to create something unique. Jason's done all the Harder Show logos, t-shirts, banners, and even a meme here and there, so I can promise you that you will love and be inspired by what Jason comes up with. You can find him on the web at www.jaybird, that's Jaybird, digitalarts.com. Or you can find him on Facebook under the Jaybird Digital Arts handle, as well as on Instagram. If you happen to use his services, be sure to let him know that TJ sent you. Now, the next match we're going to talk about was actually my personal favorite of the night. And after the amazing match that just happened, that was a hard match to follow. It really was. It was a match that, following The Miz and Dolph Ziggler like that, when you're this matchup, had to be very intimidating for these two. And they knocked it out of the friggin' park. And I was very surprised at how great these two did, because I really thought that I knew it was going to be a good match. I knew I was going to enjoy it, but I was very surprised with just how great it really, really was. And that, of course, was Baron Corbin versus Kalisto in a chairs match. Now, like I said, this is my favorite match of the night. This feud, it's been great. You know, Baron Corbin just kind of being the whole, like, I do whatever I want, kind of just attacking Kalisto whenever he can, beating up the pest, so to speak, I think it makes Corbin look like just an absolute prick. And I think that's how he needs to look. Sin Cara kind of being the guy being bullied in a way. I thought that Sin Cara was going to go over in this. I really did. I thought it'd be kind of like, David vanquishing Goliath, the bully getting the comeuppance on the bully. But that's not what happened. But either way, it was a great match. Kalisto really got to show off his crazy signature high-flying moves, and the fact that he's a tough little bugger, too. He took everything that Corbin dished out and kept coming. There was a couple really, really big, huge bumps that he took, and he kept coming back. It was very, very impressive, too, the fact that Kalisto didn't basically destroy himself at any point. Corbin, he sold great as well, which was good to see. I think Corbin's just he's getting better as time's going on. And considering that Corbin's one of my favorite guys right now on the roster, and he has been ever since the first time I saw him, I'm so glad to see that he's just getting better as time's going on. He definitely works way better as a heel than he does as a face. I hope they don't make him heel at any point. Face at any point, because I don't think it's going to work now. That friggin' chair clothesline that he did was probably literally one of the most brutal things I've seen in a long damn time. And JBL said it, the mosquito just got squashed. It was just, it was brutal, just absolutely brutal. Ending off the way it did with Corbin hitting the end of days on the pile of chairs. It was just, from the start when Kalisto came in and threw all those chairs in the ring, all the brutal spots that happened, the great bumps Kalisto took, how great that he looked, how quick he looked, how awesome that Corbin looked with everything he hit looked great. That deep six that he hit when Kalisto came running out of the ring at him was like just phenomenal. Just 10 out of 10. Absolutely amazing spot. The second I saw him hit it, I was just in awe of him. Corbin always makes that look great, but the way he did it there, both guys just made that look spectacular. The two of them seem to have a really great chemistry in the ring together. Even though this is not the first time we've seen them wrestle, this definitely was the best. I would even see this match again at this point, but I feel like this feud's over now. I feel like Kalisto needs to move on. At the end, Corbin kind of yelling at commentary. That's what happens when you get in my way. You get the end of days, it'll be your end of days. I think it was good. Corbin's definitely getting better with his promos. I think WWE's learned you can't give Corbin the mic for too long. And I think Corbin knows that as well. At this point, he knows that he's, his voice, he just doesn't have the kind of voice where, he can have these long drawn out promos. He's great in a situation like on Talking Smack, but in the ring for some reason it just doesn't seem to translate. I don't know why, but either way, Corbin, you're one of my guys. Keep doing what you're doing. You're freaking awesome. Kalisto had an amazing showing as well. This was my favorite match of the night, and that is saying something because there was so many amazing matches at this pay-per-view. I give this match a 9.5 out of 10, which is my highest rating of the match. Of the night. Again, which is interesting considering all the great matches on this. I loved this match. Maybe because I'm such a Baron Corbin mark. But it was great, hard match to follow for sure. But the match that did follow it was actually probably my second favorite match of the night, which again is very interesting considering the caliber of matches we had in this pay-per-view. And that was, of course, Becky Lynch versus Alexa Bliss for the SmackDown Live Women's Championship. Now, I had very high hopes coming into this match that Alexa Bliss was going to win. I adore Alexa Bliss. I can't even really tell you why. I think she just has this charisma about her. She's such a good heel. It's just like she comes off as this like kind of stuck up, like, just for lack of a better term, like stuck up bitch. I think she has a great gimmick. The whole like blissed off wrestling bliss face and all that kind of thing. I thought she was great from the moment I saw her with Blake and Murphy. I pegged her for great things. And she does great. She's not the best in-ring performer in the women's division. I think that Becky Lynch still takes that hands down, but Becky Lynch also has way more experience. But either way, the match itself, it was a great match. It did start off a little slow, but I mean, at the same time, I think people were, kind of not sure what to think of this match. I think people were surprised of a bit of the brutality that was happening. The friggin' DDT Alexa hit was brutal, absolutely brutal. I know personally, I thought that Becky was going to win. I was pleasantly surprised that Alexa actually picked up the victory. Hitting the power bomb. There was some spots that not only that Becky did, but Alexa did to kind of avoid the tables, even just flipping the table out of the way and that kind of thing. It was great. there was definitely some kind of false finishes in the sense of, you're like, oh, here's where the match is going to end. And then it didn't. It kept you on your toes. It was surprising. I think I'm just so happy Alexa went over, because she's my favorite women's wrestler right now. I think that's why I like this match so much, to be honest with you. If she hadn't gone over, I probably wouldn't be as fond of it. But either way, Becky looked great. She always does. She was fighting for something, she was defending her title, even though she didn't pick up the victory. I definitely know we're going to see those two go at it again. I'm personally looking forward to it. After what's been happening the last little while with the women's division, kind of start getting a little lackluster there for a little bit. Not lackluster, that's not the word I should use. Just kind of like Sasha Banks and Charlotte were basically the ones who were putting on all the great matches. And everyone else was kind of like just teetering, It wasn't like, oh my God, that was amazing. Whereas this match, like, I was truly like, that was an amazing match. I really enjoyed it. It ending off with Becky getting powerbombed through the table off the apron like that. I think that was a good spot for it. Some people were kind of like saying it was a bit of a lackluster finish given the kind of intensity of the match. But I mean, personally, it was almost like you could say that Becky, kind of blamed herself more for getting caught in such a kind of silly predicament. The fact that she would put herself in harm's way like that of going through a table. Something that was interesting that they did post-match was the interviewer girl, I can't remember her name right now, I think Kathy something, goes up to Becky right away, and Becky kind of is like, oh, I really appreciate you putting the microphone right in my face. I was like, oh, damn, like, and of course, and then immediately goes face again. I don't know if that was a little glimpse of Becky Lynch, maybe, is she just a frustrated babyface, or is she maybe going to be like, oh, screw everybody, I'm going to stop being a bitch, and I'll get my title back, and then Alexa's going to turn face? Something, I don't know. It was really cool what they did on Talking Smack after having Alexa on. I didn't see the whole segment while she was on. I just kind of saw the beginning, and like, she's just herself. That was just Alexa Bliss. I can't remember her shoot name right now, or else I'd pull it out. But that was just her. That was a real like shoot reaction. Her just being emotional. It was great. It was really, really great. It's definitely makes, I think there were some people on Twitter that were saying like, Alexa Bliss is supposed to be this like blissed off heel, and she plays that role amazing. But after what that side of her they showed on Talking Smack, where she's just so happy, she's overcome with joy. Her parents were there. It was their first WWE live event, and she won the title. Give me a break. It just, I don't know if this is a kind of the path they're taking to maybe turn her face, make her the face of the women's division on SmackDown. I don't know. Not if Becky has anything to say about it, but I wouldn't mind seeing the two of them do a bit of a double turn, so to speak. I wouldn't be against that. Definitely think we're going to see this match have a rematch of some kind at the next pay-per-view. I definitely want to see Alexa go over. I definitely want her to hold on to the title for a little while, because we know that Becky is a great leader for that women's division. Let's see what Alexa can do. She seems to have the company behind her, so we'll see what happens. I'm sure that we're going to see some great things from Miss Alexa Bliss as the champion, the blissed off champion. Alexa Bliss's never-ending title reign on Twitter. In all, I give the match a 9 out of 10. Definitely could have easily gotten a 10 out of 10 from me. I feel like the end could have been maybe just a little bit better. Just a little bit better. I am being very generous with this match. I know some people are going to give me flack for giving it a 9 out of 10, but it is what it is. I enjoyed the match, so that is what it is. I really enjoyed it, guys. All right, so we now come to the final match of the evening, a match that is being regarded as an instant classic by so many people. But before then, we're going to do a quick recap. Of course, we had the kickoff match, Hype Bros, American Alpha, and Apollo Crews versus the Ascension Vaudevillains and Kurt Hawkins, with Hype Bros, American Alpha, and Apollo Crews going over. We had the tag team match with the Wyatt family versus Rhino and Heath Slater, of course, with the Wyatt family going over. We had Nikki Bella defeating Carmella. We had The Miz and Dolph Ziggler in their Intercontinental Championship match, which The Miz went over on. We had Baron Corbin versus Kalisto, with Baron Corbin going over, which was my pick of my favorite match of the night. We had Alexa Bliss defeating Becky Lynch to win the SmackDown Women's Championship, which is actually my second favorite match of the night. And of course, we have my third favorite match of the night, which shows you how much I really like the other two matches for my personal reasons. The match that was definitely stole the show, it was definitely the best overall match of the night, and that, of course, was the phenomenal AJ Styles going up against the Lunatic Fringe Dean Ambrose for the World Championship. Now, right away, before we go any further, definitely an absolute instant classic. No one can disagree on that. How it ended was interesting. I definitely personally knew going into this, there's no way AJ's going to lose that title. There's no way. AJ Styles, he's probably my favorite guy on the roster right now. He is, I hate to say it, but he literally is phenomenal. The way that they're using AJ right now is a little weird, with him kind of almost, in a way, kind of not, just the way that kind of Ellsworth's been beating him all the time and stuff. It's kind of like, I haven't been a huge fan of it, just because I think it can kind of make AJ look a little weak, but AJ definitely didn't look weak in this match. He looked friggin' amazing. I am not going to comment on his tights ripping, so everyone just get over it. But right off the bat, this match was an absolute whirlwind. There were so many friggin' highlights of this match. I can't even pick one in particular. The amount of carnage was insane. One in particular, that sidewalk slam that AJ hit was friggin' brutal. AJ Styles definitely showing off his mechanics as a seller in offense. Phenomenal. It's funny in a sense of, there was a few times in this match where basically all Dean Ambrose had to do was not screw up and let AJ do his thing. And it was great. It worked out great that way. Definitely with AJ, he could have easily won clean. And I kind of would have rather have seen that happen, but I knew at some point, folks, I knew that slimy little James Ellsworth was going to make an appearance, and of course he did. Coming out and distracting AJ Styles. Everyone thought that they knew what was going to happen. I know I did. But right when I saw him, I turned to Brandon. I said, heel turn. And the producer, Brandon Bowden, the Kevin Dunn of the Harder Show, ladies and gentlemen, also, I think, guessed the same thing. The heel Ryan Wood said, no way, Ellsworth can't be a heel. He's a worthless little slime ball. But the heel Ryan Wood does not enjoy the heel James Ellsworth, as I'm going to call him now, just to piss Ryan off. But either way, I wasn't surprised to see that happen. I really wasn't. Dean saving Ellsworth from another Styles clash that could have potentially killed him, because he cannot seem to figure out how to take that move properly. And that's not really his fault, but just the fact that AJ saved him once already, and the fact that apparently his head clipped the stairs on the way down last week there. I think that they need to stop having AJ giving him the friggin' Styles clash, because he's going to kill himself at some point. But that's how freaking good AJ Styles is, that he can save a guy in midair from basically paralyzing himself. But either way, it definitely was not surprising for me personally, but I think a lot of people were surprised to see Ellsworth turn on Dean. On Talking Smack, he basically just said, I feel like I have a better chance of beating AJ Styles than I do of beating Dean Ambrose. But obviously, the obvious thing being, the only reason you've beaten AJ Styles is because of Dean Ambrose. So it's a classic, slimy heel turn, in the sense of he's doing it because he thinks he has no other option. He's doing it in a greedy way. So, it works. It still kind of leaves a bad taste in my mouth a little bit, just because, Dean kind of sounded the way he did, where he's just laying there staring at him. I'm like, I don't know. It was just weird. It was weird. I don't think AJ needed that. AJ hates James Ellsworth. I mean, personally, if I was AJ Styles, I would have gone and given him a phenomenal forearm or something just to kind of add to the fact of like, oh, you helped me win. Now I'm going to give you a phenomenal forearm and get the hell out of my ring, you know? But either way, I was happy to see the face that runs the place go over. I'd love AJ Styles as champion. Interested to see who his next feud's with. It better not be with Ellsworth. I swear to God, WWE, if you gave James Ellsworth and AJ Styles an actual proper feud and matches, I'm going to be really pissed off. You know, I'd like to see maybe Ziggler go for it. You know, maybe The Miz even go for it and lose his Intercontinental Championship and then go against AJ Styles or something like that. You know, we'll definitely see Dean Ambrose and AJ Styles go at it again. This feud is not over by a long shot. But either way, I think that it was still a good ending of the night. This match probably would have ranked higher for me if the match itself was a 10 out of 10. It was just, for me, the ending was, it was predictable in the sense of like, it wasn't like I was like, oh my God, like oh, that's so lame. It was just, I don't know. I don't know what I would have rather have seen. I guess maybe I would have rather seen AJ go over clean, but then that would mean Ambrose wouldn't go for the title again. So, we'll take it at that. Maybe personally, Ellsworth shouldn't have even been involved at all. Maybe that would make me feel better about the whole thing. I like Ellsworth. I like the fact that Ellsworth got signed. Good for him. That's awesome. You know, he a hardworking indie guy, you know, who got the chance. It's just like a dream come true for him. But I'm kind of getting sick of seeing him in the main title picture, as I think most wrestling fans are. I do agree with the IWC on this one, that I think, you know, he give him his title shot that he has and then kind of let him go to the mid card for a while. And if you're going to build him as an actual legit superstar, which I don't see them doing, he's going to be a joke gimmick guy, unfortunately, his whole career at WWE. You know, this is why I think they need to bring back like a low card championship, like an European championship or hardcore or something like that. I could see Ellsworth rocking the hardcore title for a little while, you know, just Ellsworth goes for the hardcore title, wins it on some shenanigans, and then is able to keep it by shenanigans, you know, bring back the 24-hour rule. And it's just like Crash Holly, but it's James Ellsworth, you know. I could see that. I think that's a license to print money. James Ellsworth as your hardcore champion. And then like have him just get brutalized once in a while, but keep holding on to the title by shenanigans. Or if he loses the title, he wins it back by like pinning a guy while he's sleeping or, you know, something like that. Like just be a weasel about it, right? I think it'd be hilarious, but I'm getting way off topic here as I usually do. Segway City, bitch. In all, I did enjoy this match. Definitely think that's it maybe could have ended better, but it was still, you know, it was still a good match. It was a fitting ending to what was going on. I just think personally I would have rather have just seen a clean ending, but then it wouldn't have really made sense, so I'm just being a goof. So either way, I give the match a very solid 9 out of 10. And in all, I actually give the pay-per-view a 9 out of 10 as well. There's nothing I was missing from this pay-per-view. I enjoyed this pay-per-view, you know, the entire night, as much as the producer, Brandon Bow, the producer of The Harder Show, the Kevin Dunn of The Harder Show, ladies and gentlemen, was making me laugh with imitations of people and so forth. I think that it was good that I was still interested in what was going on. I wasn't on Twitter tweeting the whole time or anything. I actually wanted to watch what was going on. So very, very good WWE SmackDown. A little round of applause for a very, very good pay-per-view. But with that is going to do it for me here today, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in to my WWE TLC review. Hope that you guys enjoyed it. Be sure to hit me up and let me know what you guys thought of the pay-per-view. Hit me up on the social media. You can find me on Facebook at The Harder Show. You can find me on Twitter at The Harder Show. And, of course, on Instagram at The Harder Show. You can even have me on Snapchat if you like. Just search for Terrence James. It's all one word, no capitals. TERANCE, James, JAMES. and I will pop right up. It's my personal Snapchat, but I also put Horror Show stuff up there, so definitely hit me up. Let me know what you guys thought of it. You can also comment on this. If you're listening to this on the SoundCloud, be sure to hit the follow button so you can hear what's going on with the Horror Show on SoundCloud. Leave a comment and a like. If you're listening on the YouTube, be sure to subscribe to the Horror Show on YouTube to keep with everything that is going on. We are constantly building the brand on there, not just podcasts, but also videos and that kind of thing. Probably going to do something in the next little while. I don't know. We'll see what happens. And of course, if you're listening on the iTunes, which you guys know is the easiest way to listen to the Horror Show, be sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't even have to think about it, guys. Every time a new episode of the Horror Show is uploaded, it will be automatically downloaded to the device of your choosing. Don't even have to think about it. Who doesn't like that? And while you're there, maybe give the Horror Show a little rating love. Perhaps, Holding steady at the 10 5-star reviews, guys. So, I mean, hey, if I never get another review in my life, I can say my podcast has 10 5-star reviews on iTunes. I mean, there's some podcasts on there that are on there a lot longer than me. Have less 5-star reviews. So, I mean, brush my shoulder off a little bit there. But that is going to do it for me here today, guys. Thank you all so much again for tuning in, and I will catch you guys next time on The Horror Show. Take it easy.